As we mentioned a few weeks back, we had Iceman Scully on, who was a spectacular guest. He must have spent 45 minutes on the show. Really good guy. Really loved to talk boxing. Said a lot of the stuff you said, very similar about the too many titles, too many divisions. I mean, he was ready to have us have a title and just let people come in and fight for that.
Iceman should have been able to grab a title. He was a heck of a fighter with all the divisions. I mean,
he said so many titles, you could have a big guy sports title. But he's very high on the fighter he's training, Order Beterbiev, and I just wanted to get your opinion on where you see him in the future and his chances of becoming a champion. He really likes him a lot. Well, obviously, I guess he's his trainer. He would, but he seems pretty high on him.
Well, John's right. He's a heck of a fighter, very strong, a powerhouse, so on. But his problem in the immediate future, there's no one of high profile for him to fight. Now, he could have a unification fight against a guy like Dmitry Bivol, which is fine. But fighters need that one massive fight to really put them over the top, make them a star. And he really doesn't have anyone out there. Like I said, he could fight Bivol. Maybe Sergey Kovalev could fight him, but Kovalev is kind of tarnished. The way coming off the Canelo Alvarez defeat. And for him, he can't really move up to cruiserweight to get the right opponent because there's no one in the cruiserweight division that would be there for him. What I would ask John, and at the time you had him on, I guess I wouldn't ask him, but the more we talk about it, it pops into my head. Would his guy really consider moving directly from light heavyweight to heavyweight? What's the most he can weigh? Because sometimes someone's making 175, they can get up to 215 without compromising anything and become a legitimate heavyweight.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that would be my follow-up question? Do you think that he could carry 215, keep his power and a little bit of speed he does, and go up against a natural heavyweight?
John would be, yeah. I would have called John last night to ask him that. And I know it was coming because he's the one that could answer that, but he might be a bit biased at all. They'd have to make a transition. Transitioning, moving up, isn't that hard to do. The problem is when the fighters move down, where the weight goes up and down and up and down. It takes a lot out of you. It basically finished Roy Jones off because Roy Jones transitioned up to heavyweight, beat John Ruiz, and then he moved down in weight to fight Antonio Tarver. And even though he won the first fight, it was basically the beginning of the end. And the same thing, you can't just go up and down with weight. But if you go straight up and it happens naturally, and you want to eat sensibly, but the good thing about being a heavyweight, you don't have to diet at all, or at least you shouldn't. You should just eat sensibly, and if you can put on the weight, that's great.
Because I mean, I remember when Spinks went up to fight Tyson. I mean, he was a great light heavyweight, but when he went to Tyson, he looked scared, for God's sakes, when he got in the ring with that man.
Well, it's an interesting thing. Michael Spinks is a great guy. And when I got to spend an afternoon with him, and he's really a good person. But what Michael Spinks said, no one considers this. Everyone's saying how intimidated he was. And he's saying now he wasn't intimidated at all. Tyson was just better than him. His advantage, he always said, was being quicker than the other guy. And he was astounded that Tyson actually had a speed advantage, got off quicker. It was the first time he was fighting against a guy who was actually quicker than he was. And everyone just assumes it's intimidation and so on. And remember the sequence where Spinks got knocked out? He actually threw a beauty of a right hand, but Tyson landed first and was all she wrote.
Yeah, because even Sugar Ray Leonard said that Tyson had some of the fastest hands he ever saw in that.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Absolutely.
So, go ahead, Jack.
Go ahead. No.
Well, we tend to have certain images of fighters and so on. And we have certain images of Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray Robinson, for example. But what made those guys so great? They were tough. They were so mentally tough, okay? And that's why they would hang in there, and that's why they'd win their fights the way they did. And people would always think, well, it's the skill level, that they're better, they're more talented. But there was that extra little, intestinal, fortitude that those guys had.
Yeah. The mystique, too, of Tyson by saying, he's intimidating, especially back in the day. Builds it up,
Yeah.
you know.
Well,
So
fighters are sometimes beaten, and you kind of wonder. Let me ask you now: a 53-year-old Mike Tyson, would anyone be intimidated? Now, Deontay Wilder has been saying a lot of negative things about Mike Tyson. You know, he goes on and on and on. And let's say Tyson could get a commission to license him to box Deontay Wilder somewhere. Now, Wilder would jump at the opportunity thinking it's easy money. But what we were talking about before, there would be people out there who would think Mike Tyson would actually win. And there's always that little small element of doubt in your head. But
Yeah.
I would. I think
it's insane. I'm a little apprehensive only because of this. I was asked many years ago when George Foreman came back to the ring when he was 38. I remember going on a talk show like this, not as good as this one, of course, but a talk show. And they were asking me about the George Foreman comeback. He was out of the ring 10 years. I was laughing, saying what a complete joke it was, so on. 10 years out of the ring, you know, it's not logical. 7 years later, at age 45, he regains the World Heavyweight Championship. At age 45, 8 years younger than Tyson is today. I mean, it's ludicrous to think Tyson can beat a Tyson Fury, but Anthony Joshua, who's weak chin, it's the longest of long shots, but who knows?
Right. Well, Jack, one follow up on that. If Tyson fought just a 3-round exhibition, no full fight, I don't think he could stay in there with any heavyweight for 10 rounds. But if he fought a 3-round exhibition, you know, just 3 rounds, and he still got that power, you know, he hasn't lost his power yet. Do you think he would have a chance of knocking one of those guys out?
Well, if you're saying it's an exhibition, you're not supposed to knock someone out in an exhibition.
This ain't Rocky. He's watching. I was telling him about Rocky 4 yesterday. He's thinking Apollo Creed get knocked out now.
Yeah, Rocky came back at age 60 and look,
right?
He came at a heck of a fight. I mean, listen, if he fights another, you know, heavyweight with a weaker chin, look, Anthony Ruiz clipped, you know, Anthony Joshua, and look what happened. And let's say Tyson threw a looping punch. It's the longest of long shots. But I hope it doesn't take place, because what no one talks about, if you hear the way Tyson speaks now as opposed to when he was younger, his speech, you know, is just a little off. I mean, not that bad, but it's a little thick, so on. And that's a result of punches taken in the ring. See, if he's going to make any type of comeback, that means you have to spar, you have to occasionally be hit, then you hit it during the fight. And I'm still haunted a little when you think of the situation with Jerry Quarry, who died, it's something like 46 or whatever. I shouldn't say his exact age, but he died way before his time. And I remember interviewing him about 7 years before, and I had to look him up, and he was working as a bartender, you know, out in Las Vegas, and I kept getting a lot of leads. Then I finally got him on the phone, and we talked a couple hours. And then he had this fight against an unknown fighter who I'm going to make famous. I think his name is Ronald Kramer, something. And I saw a clip on that on YouTube, and the punches Quarry was taking, it was criminal to allow that for low money, head-snapping punches. And I'm not saying, I mean, fights like that put somebody, you know, over the top, unfortunately. And it's never the fault of the opponent. You know, they're just doing their job. But why license someone to allow them to go through that? And why would they want to, you know, risk their well-being? Why would Tyson want to risk his well-being unless he needs the money bad enough? If he can make a fortune of money off boxing anyone, I mean, would you allow it to take place or not?
I've heard Tyson's pretty wealthy because he has all those marijuana farms going on. So I've heard he's quite doing well in there in Colorado or wherever he has them.
Well, who do you think is going to do better, Tyson with the brand on that, as opposed to George Foreman's grilling machine?
Good question. I don't know.
I don't know.
They sound like a good package together. I don't know. But
Foreman still wants to have a little go at it, but his wife doesn't want him to.
No.
But
that's why I was concerned when they said, when there was talk about even an exhibition, because at least Tyson, when you look at him, you watch the videos, he looks like he's in good shape. He looks strong. They said, oh, Tyson Holyfield. I would be more concerned for Holyfield's health, not because I say that Tyson's going to knock him around, but just Holyfield, when he speaks, he looks like he's taken a lot more punishment to the head than Tyson. And I would be worried about anyone letting Holyfield in the ring.
Well, not just Holyfield, Shannon Briggs is talking about fighting Tyson and so on. And I kind of have mixed feelings. If someone needs the money that bad, let's say a Tyson opponent, and it's life-altering money for them, and they have no other means of real income to bring in, I mean, it's hard to oppose it. I once spoke, I was involved with this group for years. I was on their board of directors, the American Association of Professional Ringside Physicians, and I won't say who the physician is, but he was the main doctor on his commission. And we were once talking, and he told me in confidence that if it meant life-altering money for someone, if a fighter was absolutely poor, was going to be in poverty, but one fight would be life-altering for him and his family, what he could make on that, he might look the other way, and actually pass him on the exam just because it would change, the course of his life.
Yeah.
You got one more for him, Mac?
Well, I want Jack to tell us what he's doing now, what he's writing for. I saw something that you have an online article that you write. I think I saw that, and that you're still writing for another publication or two. So I want you to let the listeners know so they can go check out your great work.
Right. On Boxing News Online, first off, they have the magazine. It comes out weekly in England. You could get it in a digital format. And they have the website too, Boxing News Online. I'm always moving on to the next story, so it's never like one thing. It's not like a fighter who fights and then lays off like a few months. I finish one, and then a day or two later, I go to the next one. And sometimes you have to let the news evolve and so on. But especially during this time now, boxing's going to have like a resurgence. Because it's been away a while. So even though we've had an absence, you're going to see like a big flurry of fights. And there are a lot of good fights that are going to happen. I'm especially excited about the Vasily Lomachenko-Teofimo Lopez fight. It was supposed to have taken place, at Madison Square Garden. And it's very intriguing because Lomachenko is considered by many the best fighter pound for pound in the world. But as they say, styles make fights. And Teofimo Lopez is a murderous puncher. And Lomachenko, a smaller man at lightweight, is going to be moving into the eye of the cannon. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens there. I'm picking Lopez. I'll go on.
All right. I'm going to write that down, Jack.
Best right.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, before we let you go, where can we send people to go and read your stuff?
They should go to Boxing News Online. Just Google it.
Boxing News Online.
And that's the best thing. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I think we can't thank you enough for coming on and giving us some.
Well, I can't thank you guys enough, and I'd love to come on in the future. I had a great time, and I'm going to try to talk a little less.
It's great. Trust me, that's us rest.
I'd say this was your introduction to the people, our fans out there, and it was great. It was great having you on and all your knowledge. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, and hopefully you could come back when we get closer to the next big fight.
Yeah, thank you so much. It would be my pleasure.
Thank you, Jack. Have a good day, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
You too.
Okay.